afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Philip Flanschmidt. Welcome to Week 8 of the CCSF and highlights of today's fixture between Kingan's Kippers and Pasty United. The match took place at Nesta Memorial Ground, where the visitors, Pasty United, entered Week 8 in third position, keen to keep pace with Dave Brown's boys, who they began the week level with on 13 points, and league leaders Spencer's Lane, whom they trail by 6 points. The Kippers, on the other hand, haven't enjoyed the same good fortune over the first half of the league season, languishing in 8th position at the beginning of Week 8. Today marked the first match for both teams since the mid-season transfer window closed. Kingan's Kippers' squad remains unchanged, but Pasty United have freshened up their lineup, bringing in 3 new faces, all of whom featured in today's fixture. The major signing for the Basil Hill outfit was Matthew Paish from Dave Brown's boys. The namesake of his new manager, Paish was Pasty United's #1 target during the transfer window, and they've got their man, with the former club captain Richard Robb going the opposite direction. The club also completed a 2-player trade with Spencer's Lane Bastards, which saw Daniel Greenaway and Christopher Fear make way for Ben Rose and Matthew D. White. Greenaway was never really able to establish himself as a first-team regular at Pasty United, but the flamboyant Fear was a fan favourite and second top goal scorer for the club. But Matthew D. White is an excellent player and has in fact outscored Fear, playing for Spencer's Lane through the first half of the season. The signing of Rose raised a few eyebrows around the barracks. Rose, a notorious hothead, very capable of a tantrum most of the time, but a talented player, and one that manager Paish was clearly willing to take a chance on. We shall look at the team sheets now, beginning with Pasty United, who today revert from their trademark 1-3-1 formation to a 1-2-2. It was a familiar defensive barricade of the spindly Colin Larrigan in goal, fronted by the league's premier central defender, Daniel Blunston. The bigger boy, or at least the more rotund boy, Tommy Laver, would take up a position on the left side of midfield, alongside marquee new signing Matthew Paish on the right. The attack consisted of the Pasty's other 2 new signings, Ben Rose and Matthew D. White. White played as the out-and-out striker, with Rose playing just off of him. Kingan's Kippers manager Richard Robb made it clear in the pre-match press conference that success in the Springfield Cup was the priority this season, the semi-finals of which will be taking place next week. His team sheet today certainly reinforced that notion, with key players like Pearce, Fulham and Derrick rested for today's league encounter. Luke Mortimer played only his 3rd league fixture in goal for the Kippers today. The rationale perhaps that Mortimer would incur less fatigue as the goalkeeper, but with the defensive line he was protected by, he would surely be rather busy regardless. That defensive line included 2 players making their outfield league debuts today. Jonathan Flowers' first appearance of the season would see him operate on the left side of defence, with Tim Parker, a goalkeeper of girth for the Kippers up until now, getting a chance to play outfield as a right-sided defender. The midfield enforcer, Luke Sawyer, got a chance to show what he could do in a central defensive role, and in attack, regular first-team player Dominic Watkins-Snaith would play on the right side, his impressive stamina meaning he could play this week in the league without worry of fatigue for the Cup semi-final next week. He would play as a right winger, and he was joined by Matthew Crofton, who made his 2nd league appearance of the season. He would operate from the left side. And now it's time to take you to the match action from Nesta Memorial Ground. The referee overseeing proceedings was Mr. Paul Inskip, and our commentators were Dave Mattingly and Gavin Gooseberry. We're over a quarter of the way through the match at this point, and for all their early dominance, Pasty United haven't quite carved out a clear-cut chance, despite controlling possession. The Kippers' defence, very much like John Bon Jovi, have been living on a prayer, and so far that prayer is being answered. The visitors come again though, this time with Blunston, feeding it to new signing Matthew Paish on the right side, just inside the Kippers' half. He's going to carry the ball forward against Flower, who looks as though he's trying very hard just not to fall over. Paish moves infield now, and as Sawyer comes over to block his path, he slips a pass to Ben Rose, who's dropped deep to receive it. He has time to turn and advance. He's looking for Laver, but Sawyer is well positioned, and Rose instead touches it back to Paish, who's continued his run nearing the edge of the area now. The Kippers are dropping deeper and deeper here. They're really under the cosh. A couple of step-overs from Paish, and he's got past John Flower, and now enters the area. The Kippers are slow to react, and Paish is going to pull it back for Laver! Oh, that's a quality strike from Laver. Beyond the goalkeeper, Mortimer. Laver was lurking on the edge of the box. A clever pullback from Page. And it was finished nicely with the outside of the boot into the bottom left corner. The Pasty United players employing the classic Rock the Baby celebration. A nice dedication to their manager who recently became a father. It had been coming, Dave. I mean the goal, not the baby. I suppose manager Page's baby had also been coming, but that's not what I meant. Pasty United, as you mentioned, have enjoyed a lot of possession, and they're finally able to make it tell. As we suspected, John Flowers, his hands full with Page today. He got done there on the right side of the area. Page has made a good decision in possession and picked a pass to Laver, and what a strike it is for the Pasty United's bigger boy. He sees the play develop, and he's ready, waiting on the edge of the box, and he finishes with the outside of the boot. I don't think Mortimer had a very good view of that through the crowd in front of him. He seemed a little late to react. I think you're right, Gavin. But even if he had a clear view, I don't think he would have gotten to that precise finish from Laver. 24 minutes played here, and the visitors have made the breakthrough. Pasty United lead at Nesta Memorial Ground, 1-0. Parker gets his pass away to Sawyer in midfield. Laver offers minimal defensive pressure, but it's enough to rush Sawyer into hoofing it upfield, and that ball is going to roll all the way through to Pasty United's goalkeeper, Colin Larrigan. Larrigan controls just inside his area. Watkins Snaith is rushing to offer some pressure, coming in from the right wing. Blunston is dropping back to give Larrigan a short option, while Matthew D. White is beckoning for a long ball forward. Larrigan is dithering on the ball, though. He's going to try and find Blunston, but Watkins Snaith has charged down the pass. He controls, and he rolls it into the empty nets. A goal out of nowhere for Dominic Watkins Snaith, and it's the equaliser. What an error from Larrigan. Yeah, he's had a fucking shocker there, the goalkeeper. He thought he had more time on the ball than he did, and he's ended up spoon-feeding Watkins Snaith his third league goal of this season. Credit to the winger for showing the desire to press from the front, but that is a gift. United's manager Page looks cool and calm on the sideline as usual, but inside he must be livid with his goalkeeper. Relentless pressure here from United in the final 5 minutes of the first half. Daniel Blunston is firmly controlling the game from the back for the visitors, sweeping up possession whenever the Kippers manage to get forward and getting Pasty United on the front foot with excellent distribution from the back. This time he finds Laver inside the centre circle, who has Sawyer for company. A beautiful turn from Laver leaves Sawyer chasing shadows, and Laver trots forward up the middle. He's got Paish and Rose to his right, and White ahead of him. Watkins Snaith is trying to catch up with Laver, but Laver plays it into the channel for Rose to chase. Flower is the man trying to stay with Rose, but Rose is quick. He gathers possession, nearing the edge of the area. White's calling for a cross, but Rose drops his shoulder and shapes the shoot. No, he fakes the shot and rolls it to Paish, who finds the bottom corner. A first-time right-footed shot from Paish makes it 2-1 to Pasty United. Fluid football from the away side. Yeah, lovely stuff for the Pasties. Kingan's Kippers have certainly looked tired in the last 10 minutes or so, and there was some lame defensive work on show there. But take nothing away from Paish and Pasty United. Lovely skill from Laver in the middle of the park to get all the way around Sawyer. Good work from Rose up the right side against John Flower, who's looked completely out of his depth in his first half. And a quality strike from Paish to finish the move. No less than they deserve for their first half performance. Blunston finds Laver moving into the centre of the field. Laver easily beats Crofton, who, bless his heart, does seem to at least be trying his best. The bigger boy crosses the halfway line and plays the ball to Paish on the right side. He's got another chance to run against John Flower. Paish fakes to cut inside and instead turns on the burners and heads down the right wing. Flower is going to have a hard time catching up with him. Paish is now looking to put in a cross with White and Rose in the middle to aim for. Oh, but Flower comes flying in with an ill-advised slide tackle, bringing down Paish and giving away a free kick on the right side of the area. He might face further action here from referee Paul Inskip for that challenge. Yeah, that was reckless. And unsurprisingly, a yellow card for Flower. I think he knew he couldn't win the ball fairly. He was just trying to stop the cross coming in, because Parker was left 1 against 2 in the middle there.
I think you're probably assuming a level of awareness of Flower that he does not possess, Gavin, but it might well be that he's accidentally done his team a favour in allowing them to regroup to defend this free kick. The Kippers were certainly spread very thin defensively in that passage of play. It's going to be Laver to take this free kick. Blunsdon has come up for this one to join Rose and White in the area. Kippers goalkeeper Luke Mortimer is barking out orders to John Flower, who seems to be momentarily distracted by a bird in the sky. Tim Parker is just adjusting his underwear and shorts to ready himself to defend this set piece. And here comes a free kick from Laver. It's a looping ball to the near post where White's making run, and White nods it home! Matthew D. White easily got to that delightful ball in from Laver before the Kippers even knew what was happening, and he's headed his new club into a commanding lead on 51 minutes. Fucking hell. Shocking defending from the Kippers there. No communication between Flower and Parker. Flower's looking to hold a line while Parker's dropping deep and playing everyone onside. If Matty White hadn't got to it, then Blunsdon was right behind him. Quality ball in from Laver. It's gagging to be finished, and Matty White was more than happy to give it a bloody good seeing to. The look on Luke Mortimer's face tells our story right now. Yeah, the poor guy. Nothing he could do to stop Pasty United extending their lead. They now lead Kingan Skippers here at Nesta Memorial Ground by 3-1. Luke Sawyer manages to get the ball forward up the left side towards Matthew Crofton, who's in a bit of space inside the United half, although Blunsdon is now coming over to that side, quickly closing down the Kippers' timid winger. Crofton in fact flinches and runs away from the ball as Blunsdon arrives on the scene, allowing the Pasty United captain to easily take possession, and he can certainly launch an attack from here. Blunsdon saunters forward, and now he finds Page on the right side, inside the Kippers' half. Oh, a clever first-time ball from Page for the outside of the boot, around the corner and into the channel for Rose to chase. Sawyer and Flower chasing back for Kingan Skippers, but Rose will easily get to this ball first, nearing the corner of the area. Tim Parker is wrestling with Matthew D. White in the box, and Laver is arriving on the edge of the box, unattended. Square of Rose. Rose sees the run of the bigger boy, and he plays it across the area. Laver, one touch to tee himself up, and he bends one into the top right corner. Beyond the fully outstretched Luke Mortimer. A second for Laver, and a fourth for Pasty United. Yeah, Pasty United are really turning the screw now. It's a top-notch attacking play that any defence in the league would struggle to deal with, let alone the clueless rabble that Kippers manager Richard Robb has fielded today. Page and Rose once again involved, but this goal's all about Laver. He never moves quickly, but he seems to always arrive in the right area at the right time. He's still got something to do when he receives that mind. He gets it out of his feet quickly, and it's a great technique to put it in the top bins. Surely no way back from here for Kingan Skippers, as they now trail Pasty United by 4-1. The pass from Wadkin-Snaith ricochets off of Laver, who can't control it, under pressure from Luke Sawyer. Sawyer gets a foot in, but only pokes it as far as Page, who knocks it back to his centre-back Daniel Blunsdon, and Pasty United retake possession. Fair play to Sawyer. He's still fighting for every possession in the midfield, despite having been outclassed today by Page and Laver. Oh, Blunsdon is looking long over the top, and it's a good ball. United might be in for another here. Rose and White have sprung the Kippers' offside trap, and it's Rose who's able to collect, midway between the halfway line and the penalty area. Flower and Parker are nowhere to be seen. Mortimer begins to come. White's arriving on Rose's left shoulder, but Rose doesn't need him. He side-foots it beyond the outstretched leg of Mortimer, and it nestles into the back of the net to make it 5 for Pasty United. Route 1 stuff, like a hot knife through butter, Dave. More calamitous defending from Flower and Parker. Both seem to switch off as Wadkin-Snaith carried the ball forward. Then when the Kippers lost possession, they were horribly out of position. Blunsdon's seen what's on. He's waited to pass lovely for Rose, and I think the new boy can be excused for being a little selfish with the finish. Rose adds his name to the score sheet to make it 5-1 to the visitors. And that was how things finished at Nesta Memorial Ground, with Pasty United's Tommy Laver being named man of the match.
Kingan Skippers' inexperienced side were given the proverbial bending over by the new look lineup of Pasty United, who certainly look like they mean business in the second half of the season. Kingan Skippers can't have expected much different from today's proceedings, but nevertheless, this defeat surely only adds to the importance of their Springfield Cup semi-final next week, which is shaping up to be a season-defining fixture for the village people. For Pasty United, Rose, White and Paish bedded in nicely with old-timers Laver and Blunsdon, and manager Paish will surely be delighted with the performance he's seen from his side today. The win for Pasty United means they move into second place in the league, ahead of Dave Brown's boys on goal difference, trailing leaders Spencer's Lane Bastards by 4 points. Kingan Skippers remain rooted to the bottom of the table, 3 points adrift of Hartley Athletic FC and Up in Smoke FC. We look forward to seeing you again soon for the semi-finals of the Springfield Cup, but we've reached the end of our broadcast for today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Philip Flanschmier. Cheerio.